forms in which or various ways in which hello, we are still in the chapter on right to constitutional remedies, and in this particular chapter we have seen Article 32, various forms in which or various ways in which the Supreme Court can ensure protect our rights. Supreme Court is a guarantor and protector of our rights. Now in this context there is a concept of public interest litigation, and this particular video is specifically about public interest litigation, various aspects of it. So the topic heading is public interest litigation. See, this public interest litigation as a concept has been borrowed from the American jurisprudence. So PIL has come from America or the US, where it was designed to provide legal representation to the so-called unrepresented groups like poor, the racial minorities, unorganized consumers, etc. Okay. So those who are poor and marginalized and who are not able to fight for their rights, for them this public interest litigation concept came up in the US. And also it means the litigation filed in the court of law for the protection of public interest. So there has to be some public interest involved in it. So there has to be a public interest in, say, like pollution, terrorism, road safety, what and what not, even rights of the children. So all these things can come up in the public interest litigation. So in Indian context, as I mentioned earlier also, Article 32(1) says that any citizen whose rights are violated can approach the Supreme Court. But by expanding the scope of this Article 32(1), since there are so many citizens, so many people who are poor, who are illiterate, who are not aware of their rights are violated and they are not even coming to the court. Now the Supreme Court has said that if they are not able to come, any public spirited citizen can come to the court. So in the public interest litigation, any public spirited citizen can approach the court. So public interest litigation is the power given to the public by the court through the judicial activism. In fact, this has also led to some sort of judicial activism. See, what is judicial activism? See, any activism means somebody who is extra working, those who are working beyond their call of the duty. That is activism. An activist, a social activist, a person who is working for the society. There is no need for him to work. An activist. So like this, judicial activism means judiciary taking up an extra burden, extra responsibility, and judiciary taking up the responsibility because of the failure of other organs. See, for example, in a public interest litigation, in the benefit of the public, the Supreme Court is taking extra interest and asking the executive to do the duty. So it's an activism by the judiciary. So public interest litigation has come up in a big way because of judicial activism also. So judiciary has taken up an activist role, and in some cases court has even taken cognizance of the matter by themselves. The suo moto, the court has taken take up issues suo moto also. Suo moto means by itself. See, for example, in the migrant laborers case, when the migrants were walking from cities to the villages, and there is a lot of criticism on the Supreme Court for not doing anything, and then Supreme Court took up the matter by themselves. So there can be, even Supreme Court has said that procedure is not important, justice is important. In public interest litigation, procedure is not important. Procedure is not important. Supreme Court has said that procedure is not important. Justice is important. This is what Supreme Court has said in various cases, because even a letter written to the Chief Justice of India can be converted into a public interest litigation. Even in a postcard, write a letter and say that this is the issue, even that can be converted into public interest litigation. That is what Supreme Court has said at some point of time when the Supreme Court was very active. Today things are slightly different. Supreme Court has gone into some sort of a shell. Now, whatever the government is saying, that is final for the government, for the Supreme Court these days, quite unfortunately. So many cases, Supreme Court is only approving the government version, not looking into the problems and the sufferings of the poor, unfortunately. That is I will come to the final analysis on that, but that is the present situation. So, this public interest litigation is a judicial innovation. So, it is a part of the judicial activism. It is an innovation by the Supreme Court. Okay. It is an innovation by the Supreme Court. It is part of its activism. Part of its activism. Supreme Court, it is not there in the law book. Public interest litigation is not there in the law book. There is no particular article which is specifically providing for public interest litigation. It is a liberal interpretation of Article 32(1). From Article 32(1), a liberal interpretation of Article 32(1), we have public interest litigation. Now, coming to the evolution and genesis of public interest litigation, coming to the evolution of PIL. See, it is said that Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer, in 1976, for the first time in one of the cases, this public interest litigation, or rather he has taken up some cases in public, but that is not considered to be the first case. The first case was in 1979, which is officially been considered as the first PIL, was a case related to a group of women under trials in Bihar, and it is known as the Husainaira Khatun versus State of Bihar case. Husainaira Khatun versus State of Bihar, 1979. Husainaira Khatun. So, what was the case? See, it is a very interesting case. In 1979, in Indian Express newspaper in Delhi, an article came about the sorry state of affairs of under trial, the women under trials in Bihar. In a small jail room, so many people are accommodated where they have no facility, and they are packed like chicken inside a cage, and they were living in highly inhuman conditions inside the jail, and they are under trials. They are yet to be tried and they are yet to be punished also. And in many cases, they are living in jail because of delay in the trial. In many cases, these people are staying in jail for longer days than the actual full punishment, even if they get full punishment. Suppose somebody is accused of a crime where the maximum punishment is 2 years. They are in jail. But because of the delay in trial, they are staying in jail as under trials for many years. There is even a case, an old man, he was arrested for some theft, where he could have got a few months punishment. But because of the delay in trial, this man was in jail for 27 years without any trial, only because the crime, he did some small time theft, for which he would have got 2-3 months of jail, maybe 6 months of jail, but he continued to be in jail, maybe 1 year of jail, whatever it is, but he continued to be in jail for 27 years. So, like this case came up where this was about the plight of a group of women as under trials in Bihar jail. When this article came up, one of the Supreme Court advocates at that time, lady advocate called Kapila Hingorani, Kapila Hingorani. She read this article and she felt very bad about the whole thing, and there is no mechanism to fight for them. So what she did is, she moved in a habeas corpus case in Supreme Court, and one of the character in that story was Husainaira Khatun, one of the many women who were in jail at that time, and she filed a habeas corpus in Supreme Court saying that Husainaira Khatun is illegally detained by the police, or rather illegally detained by the authorities, and there can be habeas corpus. So when the habeas corpus case was filed, there was no PIL. So she went to the court saying that I am speaking on behalf of Husainaira Khatun. And when her case was moved in front of the judge, then she started explaining the whole story. Supreme Court was shocked by hearing that there may be hundreds of such people. The Supreme Court issued an order immediately to look into such scenarios across India regarding the under trials. How many of them are in jail for how many time, how much time, and are they, what is their condition? And Supreme Court found that an inquiry was conducted for across India. A report was submitted to Supreme Court, and it was found that at least 40,000 under trials across India were there in various jails across India, where they are staying in jail beyond their maximum punishment what they can get, for which they were arrested and sent to jail. These 40,000 under trials were released immediately. This became the first PIL, and Kapila Hingorani, the advocate who moved this, this habeas corpus, case, is considered to be the mother of PIL in India, because she is the, not the father, mother of PIL in India. And she died in 2014. A lot of articles were there about her. Subsequently, she filed more than 100 PILs in Supreme Court on various issues, including that infamous, Bihar blinding case, Bhagalpur blinding case. And I don't know, some of you might have watched that Gangajal movie, where these under trial, or rather the accused, in Bhagalpur, the case was some notorious dacoits were arrested by the police. Under pressure from the public, the police officers blinded them, 10 or 11 of them, I forgot how many of them, they blinded by pouring acid in the eyes of these dacoits. And they were all blinded by pouring acid. This matter came up, and Hingorani filed a case in the Supreme Court, a PIL on behalf of these dacoits. Supreme Court interfered, and the officers who were responsible were punished ultimately. There were so many hundreds of cases since then. So, and two judges who are famous for the one is V.R. Krishna Iyer, and the second is Justice P.N. Bhagavati. These two judges are considered to be the father of this PIL movement in India. V.R. Krishna Iyer in 1976, and subsequently by 1980, Justice P.N. Bhagavati in the S.P. Gupta versus Union of India case. Once again, this was a landmark judgment. We will be talking about that in other cases, but this is how Justice P.N. Bhagavati and V.R. Krishna Iyer formalized a new era of PIL movement was started by them by 1979-80. And that is how the PIL started. Any public spirited person can approach the Supreme Court on behalf of those whose rights are violated. Even Supreme Court may take up the case by themselves. The suo motu case may be there. So coming to the significance of PIL. Number one, this aims to give common people an access to justice. Access to justice for common people. This is the mechanism whereby even the common man can also get justice, access to justice for common people. Number two, it can act, the PIL is acting as an agent or an important instrument of social change, an instrument of social change. It is acting as an instrument of social change, and also it helps in ensuring the rule of law in the country. PIL helps in ensuring the rule of law. The law should prevail. Law is supreme. PIL will help in ensuring that, and this will give justice to the poor and marginalized. Justice to poor and marginalized. And very importantly, it will check the arbitrary powers of the government and the executives. PIL will help in checking the arbitrary powers of the executive. PIL will help in checking the arbitrary powers of executive. It democratizes the whole justice system, and most importantly, in a country where there is so much of inequalities. So we should always remember, India is a country of inequality, where there are so many inequalities. When there is so much of ignorance, illiteracy, lack of awareness, in such a situation, PIL can help in bringing justice to the poor and the needy, no doubt regarding this. Now, coming to some criticisms of this PIL, criticisms. Number one criticism is the PIL is leading to judicial activism and judiciary going overboard. PIL leads to judicial activism and sometimes overactivism or overreach. Yes, even because now anybody and everybody are going to the court, filing a case, and the court is taking the lead role. So naturally, the judges also will have to restrain themselves. Judges should exercise extreme or rather utmost restraint while dealing a PIL case, because there can always be temptation for judges to give judgments which can be playing to the gallery thing. That should be avoided. So this can lead to even overactivism or overreach. Overreach means judiciary going beyond their capacity, and where you cannot, certain social things and all, you suppose Supreme Court cannot give an order by saying that I am giving an order to eliminate poverty in India. You cannot eliminate poverty by giving an order. So these kind of things have to be very careful. So it can lead to overactivism or overreach. So Supreme Court will have to be very careful. That is one aspect of it. Number two is another criticism is the Supreme Court can be flooded with cases. Can be flooded with cases, and especially if the Supreme Court is taking up cases based on a letter written to them and all, especially if it takes cases based on letter written to them, cases based on even letter written to the Chief Justice or any judge for that matter. It will be flooded with cases, but the reply, and it will delay, and the accusation is it will delay already the pending cases. Okay, it will delay already pending cases. It will delay the already pending cases. But the reply, the counter argument is, see, these cases are pending because the cases are filed by the rich and those who are able to file the case. PILs are always the cases of the poor and the needy and the marginalized. We cannot ignore this PIL only because there are so many pending cases, and that too it is filed by the influential people, the rich people. The poor also needs justice. So the argument that it will flood the case, yes, let it flood the cases, but these are all cases related to the poor and the needy, and we cannot ignore their rights. So that is the argument. And it also, another argument put forward is this PIL and the judicial activism can bring conflict between judiciary and executive. Yes, it is true, because now the judiciary is giving order. Say, simple example, as I was mentioning earlier also, if the municipal authorities are not picking up the garbage, you complain to them first, they are not doing anything, you went to the court. Now the court is ordering, giving a mandamus, ordering to the authorities to pick up the garbage. So naturally, there can be, and the executive may not be in a position to pick up the garbage because of various problems. But the court will say, I don't know anything, you pick the garbage. So this can lead to some sort of conflict. It is true. And if the executive did not do, what will happen? Yes, then it will lead to contempt of court. It can lead to conflict. Yes, it is true. It can lead to contempt and it can lead to conflict. But because of the court's interference, we are getting justice. Common men, you and me, we need justice. And the court is able to provide that justice to us. Yes, this may lead to conflict, no doubt regarding this, but we have a right. Suppose the court also refuse to take up the case, then where will we go? We have no mechanism to go. It may lead to the breakdown of the constitution. But now at least, so now what you should understand here is, this PIL, it's not in a PIL and judicial activism is not the right solution to the problem. See, ideally what should have been there? Ideally the executive, the officers and the legislature, they should have done their duty properly. Then we would have got justice automatically. They failed to do their duty. That is why we are going to the court. So this judicial activism in the first place should not have been there, or the PIL and all should not have been there had the executives done their duty properly. They failed to do their duty. That is why we are approaching the court through this PIL. So at least we are getting some justice. So it is the PIL and the judicial activism is because of the failure of the executive and the legislature in doing their duty. If the court also refused to accept our case, the court also ignore our PILs, then this would have led to the breakdown of the entire machinery. The court saved the situation right now. Through PIL, the Supreme Court saved the situation. What is the situation? Situation of we are not getting justice. Common men are not getting justice. That situation has been saved, or rather we are saved from that situation because of the timely interference of the judiciary. Judiciary interfered and asked the executive and the legislature to do their duty properly. So we are getting justice. See, so many cases, even the cleaning of Ganga, Yamuna, the Taj Mahal case. Taj Mahal, it was getting yellowish in color. The government is not doing anything. Supreme Court interfered, asked the polluting industries to be removed from that locality. The Taj Mahal case. Even the CNG case in Delhi, to bring CNG buses and taxis, autos. It was made mandatory by the Supreme Court to reduce the pollution in Delhi. There so many cases related to bonded labor. Even I talked about the right to children, MC Mehta versus State of Tamil Nadu case. It's a PIL case to protect the rights and the livelihood of the children, to protect the children from exploitation. So many environmental cases. So many environmental cases. So many cases related to women and their rights, children and their rights. Even our Vishaka case against sexual harassment, it is a PIL case. Hundreds of cases we can talk in the last 40 years. PIL saved the situation. PIL ensured that our rights are protected. But unfortunately, in the last couple of years, Supreme Court has slowly withdrawn itself into a shell for unexplained reasons, and not many PIL cases also. PILs are rejected. Supreme Court is not coming to the rescue of the people. In many cases, Supreme Court is saying what the government is saying is fine and final. Even in the migrant laborers case, The tragedy was that whatever the government said no migrant laborers are walking on the road. Government immediately accepted and said nobody is walking. Sorry, the Supreme Court immediately accepted and said nobody is walking. That kind of judgments, ignore when everybody, the whole country knew what is happening. And every day we were watching in the TV. Even then the Supreme Court ignored all those things and said that what the government's version is final and you need not worry. That kind of attitude, if the Supreme Court continues, I think Supreme Court is going back on whatever great work they have done for the last almost 40 years, ever since the Husainara cartoon case. So, the final conclusion is PILs have saved the situation, it has protected our rights, it has been a great relief for the poor, especially in the protection of the rights of the poor against exploitation of the poor, the children, the women, the environmental protection. PILs have done a great job. And we expect our Supreme Court to be equally vigilant in future also, to protect our rights, protect our environment. And especially of the poor and the needy. PILs can do, judicial activism should continue. Otherwise, we may not have any mechanism to complain. We may have to be dependent on the mercy of the government. If the government is not doing anything and if we are not getting justice, if the government refused to listen to the problems of the people, PIL would have been a mechanism to remind the government of their duty and get the poor and the needy could have got justice. So let us hope that this will continue, and in the process we can live as a truly democratic, liberal, egalitarian society. So PILs can play a very crucial role in making India a truly democratic and egalitarian society.